Wait, and I want to touch base on monitors again in just a moment, because I think there is also a distinction to be made right between the reference environment, what we're doing there, and then kind of by the time it gets to people's homes too, right? What's going on there. But before I stick to that, Joel, I'm going to ask you, I'm a little OCD about calibration, right? I mean, I think it's something that's important, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tom's a little, right? Tom's like, another goddamn phone call. Okay, True. So, you know, earlier this week I did a calibration class, and, you know, we set a meter on a monitor, we talked about calibration LUTs that showed, you know, CalMan and Lightning LUTs and all this kind of stuff, right? What other considerations, how has the calibration landscape changed in terms of hardware, software, et cetera, now that we're entering an HDR world?
So it's one of the things that, you know, Katie's kind of like, it's really not that hard, actually. And in the calibration, you have to wrap your mind around this whole absolute EOTF thing, which is very different than conventional, gamma, relative. Well, and relative, right? You send 100% signal, you get 100% output. You send 0% signal, you get minimum output. Well, in this world, everything's absolute. So if the black floor is, you know, 0.01, well, that's going to be actually above 0% signal. So you're going to keep sending signal, and it's going to keep being 0 until you send a signal that's above that black floor.
Right.
And then the same thing happens at the top end, where, you know, you're going to get peak luminance at whatever the TV does, and then everything above that is going to continue to be peak luminance. So the clipping is built into this EOTF, and that's a very different perspective than having.
Can we just have one point of clarification, because we've thrown that term around a couple times, right? EOTF.
Electrical optical transfer function.
Right, and so I'm sure people have heard the term gamma, right? What's the difference between gamma and EOTF?
So, gamma is
the short version.
Gamma is the exponent in a power formula, right? And so technically the old EOTF was power formula with 2.2, 2.2 or 2.4 exponent, which is the gamma number in that formula. And so the power function was the old EOTF, and it was standardized as BT1886, which has a little bit of offset in it, which is kind of cool, and standardized the number at 2.4.
It was based on phosphor technology.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's like, you know, people talk about sRGB, and they're actually incredibly similar because they're basically just both how we characterize a CRT. So EOTF is just a more generalized term because the gamma doesn't necessarily apply anymore because it was the exponent in the power formula.
Okay, I get it. Okay. So like when it comes to calibration stuff, like hardware, pattern generators, whatever, can, like right now today, can I calibrate an HDR display?
Well, so it depends on exactly what we're talking about. This is the difference between mastering content and viewing content. If you've got, you know, the X300 and you're gonna feed it SDI, then you don't really need anything special. You just keep feeding it SDI, you turn it into its 2084 mode, and then you send the patches, and you can see that it follows the...
And meters that are out there today can read, you know, 1,000 nits or whatever?
1,000 nits is pretty easy for a meter to hit.
Okay.
When you get brighter than 1,000 nits, then the landscape changes a little bit, and you start getting a little more precise hardware that's been engineered for that kind of stuff.
Spectral reading is the more biggest issue, depending on the device you have.
Oh yeah, well, spectral stuff, like wide color gamut, we're like HDR, one thing, wide color gamut is a different thing. But yeah, no, you don't really need very complicated hardware. Now, when you get to the consumer side, and we're talking about putting a TV into HDR mode via HDMI and all of the metadata and info that needs to get put onto the stream in order to signal the display to kick into HDR mode, that's an entirely different story. And in that case, you do need, you know, updated firmwares or updated hardware or spoofer boxes or whatever it is to be able to spoofer boxes. Well, yeah, there's a little thing called an HD Fury that can like inject the metadata into an existing HDMI.
We had a question back here, I think.
Yeah, I was just at your booth and they talked about.
Oh, no, one second.
So I was over at your booth earlier, right across from the 3M. They're very close to Rec 2020 display, which is awesome. But they said that you have in beta being able to HDR grade.
Well, I'm sorry. Whose booth were you in?
SpectraCal.
Okay.
HDR grade.
Yes.
We only calibrate stuff. We don't grade stuff.
Well, in order to calibrate properly so that I can grade.
Oh yeah. So the PQ EOTF, DCI, with P3 with D65, 28.
So already built into your software, you have the tools to do it.
Yeah, it's all there, it's all ready to go. In fact, most of that stuff is even in the 5.6 release, so yeah, the tools are there.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.